feel that a lot of
Shalom, shalom. Kal halalim la Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakah Korash. Brakti Yahweh, Brakti Hawshai, Brakti Yahweh, Brakti Hawshai, Brakti Yahweh, Brakti Hawshai, Bahashem Rakah Korash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, elder bishops of Great Millstone. Shalom to the prophets of that body, and shalom to the 144,001 third. May peace and blessings be upon you and your households. By the way, copyright fair use. Okay, not making no money out of this. I'm not saying anything adverse with regards to what the young lady is going to say. Okay, I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's just basically emphasizing what this lady's going to say, which is, pardon me, it's not a very nice subject. Okay, it's about women smelling like the sea and bathrooms smell like death. A woman says it's because of sleeping around. Okay, and now she mentions so-called black women. Okay, and yeah, she mentions so-called black women having that particular uh, odor. I mean, obviously, it affects all women, because women of all nations behave that way. But the so-called black woman, being the Judite woman, the head tribe, is worse off. Why? Because we have laws, statutes, and commandments we need to follow. And a woman, when she does have sex with a man, okay, an Israelite woman, when she has sex with her Israelite man, whether it's a boyfriend or whatever the situation may be, and they're both 16, 17, 18 years old or whatever, right? I'm talking about, this world, all right? The first rod that goes up in her, stretches her out, pops her, is that man is her husband, okay? Because he's humbled her. He's got to the point where she's undressed. That's his woman. He's seen her nakedness. She's seen his nakedness. That's his woman. That's her man, right? And obviously, once you go beyond that point and the relationship doesn't work out and you go by Western standards, you might jump onto another man, then another man, then another man, then another man, then another man. And with so-called black women and women of generally these days, they might even deal with women, which is disgusting, which is, being a sodomite, as Leviticus 20:13. I'm paraphrasing another scripture, you know, uh, the woman has changed her nature, and so is a man, which is, which is basically they've changed their nature, which is adverse to the ways of Yahweh Bashem Yashar, which is supposed to be man and woman. Okay, um, and with that, and also the so-called white man saying that douching. Okay, now Google douche if you want to. DOUCHE is a method that women use or used to use to clean their open wound, which is a permanent open wound, which is their vagina or the cavity between their legs. Okay, it's always open, it's always moist, whether it's you're urinating, whether in your monthly cycle, or whether you're with your man in the bedroom and you are wet. Okay, pardon me, I know it's slightly graphic, the conversation, but it's a real situation and uh, it needs to be spoken upon. And women are bringing out the truth on this. And women generally, I've heard all nations of women talk on this, okay, right? But we're going to focus on the Israelite woman, all right, because these things happen more worse because we were given the laws, statutes, and commandments of how to behave, what to eat, what not to eat, what to do on specific days, how to behave on high holy days, etc., etc., etc. Okay, and which goes to the scripture of 1 Corinthians 14 and 40. Do everything decently and in order. And our laws and commandments give us a decency and a decency of behavior as well. And everything comes in conjunction together, leading to as I say, a happy, holy lifestyle, because you're calling upon Yahweh Bashem Yashai, and you're following the law, statutes, and commandments. Well, on this side anyway, at least to the best of your ability. Okay, and the so-called white man pushes the idea that now douching for douching for women is actually going to damage them. How can washing the inside of your vagina be damaging? How can cleansing um, sperm that's been shot in you, or other, just your vaginal fluids, because you've been penetrated by your man, you're cleaning all your insides out. How can that be damaging? You've had your period, you've got residue left in you. How can that be damaging? All those, it's like people. If I'll give you an example, another example. A man that has foreskin, if he doesn't pull his foreskin back and wash his cherry, you're gonna have all that shit and gunk and smeg. Is it called smeg? That white shit underneath your foreskin on top of your cherry, making your dick stink. Okay, so you have to wash yourself properly. You have to go into the crevices. And you have to wash yourself. The same with women. They don't wash themselves like they used to. Okay, even older generations of women ask the young women, "You don't douche no more," and they're quite, they're quite like shocked, saying, "You don't douche yourself no more." You know, it's like, how do you keep yourself clean? Drinking water, urinating is a start, but you got to wash yourself. And a lot of you women stand up washing. You're not a man. You can't just constantly just be in the shower. Now, showering is necessary, but you women need to be soaking yourself in a bathtub. You need to shower every day. All right, and in the evening at night, you need to get your ass in the shower, in the bathtub, even if it's for half an hour. Give yourself a little good going over, right? And having multiple sexual partners, uh, the curses, which that's part of the curses. For this is about women. Men can have many wives as long as those women are single. Okay, that's part of the law. Okay, you can if you wish to do so, but women only have to be with that one man, okay, that one spirit. That's why a lot of you women are bugged out. You got multiple spirits on you, okay. That term exchanging bodily fluids is real. As long with sex, there's a lot of responsibility with it, and also there's a spirituality connected to it, because two become one, right? Okay, two souls become one, however the saying goes. So therefore, that man is transferring you. That man is humbling you and penetrating his energy into you. All those huffs and heaves and backs and forths and all that kind of shit. He's emptying his energy into you. So therefore, you take on his energy. And sometimes you go down on him and you swallow him as well. And that's energy. And the sperm connects, to vital parts of your body. I believe it connects to your brain stem, or it connects to your brain, the sperm. I don't have all the medical details, but there's a residue left of the man's sperm. And if you women are having 100 partners, 200 partners, 300 partners, 400 partners, different men and different nationalities as well, what do you think that's going to happen to you? And you don't wash yourselves, and some of these nasty men are just still hitting it, even though it smells like that. Okay, what do you think that's going to happen? You're going to smell. You're going to be off in the mindset. And then you wonder why a man doesn't want to take you seriously, want to be with you. Why should any man want to wife you up after other 100 men have dealt with you, seen your nakedness, seen you in every kind of position, and then other nationalities of men have been with you and seen you and enjoyed your body and enjoyed you, and then, but yet some other simp has to marry you? That's why a lot of you ninja women, no matter what package you come in, whether you're an Israelite foreigner woman, whether you are an Irish woman, an Italian woman, a so-called black woman, a Hispanic native Indian woman, an Indian woman, an Israelite foreigner woman from northern India, where my most of my mashpaki are from, all right? Even them, right? No man wants to be with you. Example, ex-porn stars that are Jake, females. Who marries these women? Only Esau or Amalek does, and usually unattractive older guys because they got money, because they can't get a woman. Okay, no man really wants you, so you go for the consolation prize in the end. So this has an overall effect on your life. That's why you're single, you're miserable, you're bugged out in the head. Nobody wants to deal with you. Nobody wants to take you seriously. You assume that just because a man wants to have sex with you, oh yeah, he might marry me. You got to understand, men are programmed differently. We get a hard on with the wind blows in a certain direction. Okay, we could watch a movie and see a woman's ass shaking, or even in a pair of jeans, we get a hard on because we're programmed that way. Okay, to get enticed, because women are lovely to us normal, healthy young men, Israelite men. Okay, because the rest of you heathen nations are a bunch of weirdos anyway. Okay, So I'm going to let the woman talk, and then we're going to go into some scriptures. All right. And these are the curses, man. That's why you women can't grow hair. That's why you're overweight. This is why you smell. This is why you have a bad attitude. Okay, because the nations have collectively come together pursuant to Psalms 83. The nations have come together to cut us off. And when you take a man, and the biggest way they did it was taking our woman away from us, our support system. Because if you have a woman behind you, you can pretty much, if you have that support system at home, you can do a lot more in this world. Okay, if you have a woman where you got to battle on the outside against a so-called white man, getting to work safely, coming back from work, dealing with the household chores which men have to do, then you got to do the stuff that women should be doing, right? And then you got to deal with a mouthy woman, and then on top of that, she doesn't cook or clean or look after the children. That's like triple the workload. And then you got to pay for her, okay? And a woman is supposed to be a pillar of rest, paraphrasing a scripture there. She's supposed to be a helpmeet, a support system. This is the reason why you women are alone. You're not feminine at all. That's why the other women of the other nations are winning. They look better than you. They smell better than you. They have real hair. You know, the children are still Israelites because the man is the children are whatever the father is, pursuant to Numbers 118. And you women are left alone, okay, shaking your ass in rap videos, shaking your ass in porn videos, doing all sorts of lesbian sex and all sorts of threesomes with heathens and Edomites and other nations, Arabs, crackers, and just being lusted upon as something to hit. Okay, you are just an experience for other nations. Oh, have you been with a so-called black woman? No, man, I haven't. Do you want to try it? Yeah, they're freaky. They do everything. And especially if you're a white guy, they do everything more because they see you as a god. You think these devils don't see that and know that? They do. Okay? And I'm just mentioning a few things from the top of my head. And there's a lot more deeper issues. And these things are not going to be remedied until the Lord comes. Some of you women will get in line when Isaiah 4:1 kicks in. 7 women shall be, paraphrasing scripture, will be attached to one man. And 7 just means completion. It could be 700. It could be 70. It could be 777. Okay? It could be 1077. All right? 7 just means completion. All right? Let's go to scripture first, actually, because now in the ancient world, okay, now you do come across certain Judite women, all right, all that are attractive. There are anomalies out there, okay, that look good, that have got a head of hair. They're attractive. They've got a lovely skin tone. They're not fat. They don't have tattoos. They don't have no septum rings, okay. And our women in the ancient world were the finest women, and they're going to be fine again in the kingdom. The Judite woman. All our women are fine, but the Judite woman is going to be the top woman in the kingdom. Okay? But on this side, the Lord has put curses on you. You can't grow no hair. That's why you're the only nation, you're the only nationality of woman that wears weaves. Okay? Collectively, as a whole, you get jealous of other women that walk into places, and all the men, especially so-called black men, look at her because she has real hair, she has real beauty. She doesn't have to cake her face up with makeup to change her whole to change her features and make her eyes look bigger or more brighter or whatever, or lips redder. She don't have to do that. The other women of other nations, but you have to because you're not attractive. Even Mike Epps makes a joke about it. You know, the woman. How does Mike Epps say? He goes, "Yeah, the woman come home, you've pulled her, whatever, and then she goes to the bathroom. She takes off her makeup. Or you've been, or she's your woman already. She goes to the bathroom. She takes off her makeup. She takes off her weave or whatever, a wig, and then and she comes out, and you think, who the fuck is that? You know. I came home with how does he say it? He came home with how does he say it, man? He says it in a funny way. He came home with Janet Jackson, and the bitch went inside the bathroom and came out looking like Freddie Jackson. Something along those lines. Mike Epps is funny, right? So Isaiah 3:24. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stink. This is prophecy. This is the reason why you Israelite women, especially you Israelite women, smell so bad. Okay? And instead of a girdle, a rent, meaning that you're fat. Okay? All right? Like a girdle, a woman puts on a girdle to have that shapely shape. You know, like they compress the stomach in and they make the hips protrude out, or whatever, right? A lot of women in the ancient world used to wear that, okay? But you women naturally had a shape like that, and some of you still do, okay? Now you can't. Rented meaning that you've expanded beyond the girdle. You're just a big Shirley, all right? And instead of a girdle rent, you're fat, you smell, okay? And instead of well set hair, baldness. You're bald headed, okay? You grow a little bit of a 2-inch afro and you grease that shit down. You think that you got a head of hair. That's cool. You rock what you got. Okay, but a lot of you wear weaves, wear wigs. Why? Because you're trying to replace something you lack. The same way the so-called white woman replaces something that she lacks, which is skin tone. They tan themselves, spray tan. You know, they put makeup to give themselves a complexion. All right? You're lacking something, so what do? You put a wig on. And instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth and burning instead of beauty. You're ugly. That's why the so-called black woman on this side is the least desired woman. As mentioned earlier, there's anomalies. There's women that are sexable. You know, I think, hey, I don't mind hitting that. If she's single, I don't mind hitting her for one night. I've had a few beers. Let me get it in with her. Let me just release my tensions on her. You know, one of them types. Like Boozy would say, yeah, if you meet this girl at 12 o'clock at night and no one's around and, you know, and she's up for it and she's, you know, from a righteous standpoint, you might say, okay, if she's single, doesn't have a man, let me hit it. One of them ones, you know? But you're the ugliest woman on the planet Earth. That's why even most Jakes, they go gravitate towards a Northern Kingdom woman. Okay, the so-called Latinas, Native Indian women, because they are gorgeous, collectively. Long hair, curves, big breasts, full lips, you know? Somewhat feminine, but still ratchet as well. You know, we don't like the ratchetness, of course. All right, and then a Latina woman is a desired woman across the four corners of the earth, man. But the so-called black woman is not desired. All right, even coming up when I was a youngster, I did not desire a so-called black woman. When we saw a so-called mixed race woman, you know, like her father is so-called black, her mother's white, and you see her with the long curly hair and the pretty features and stuff, you know, and she's got a mother and a father. You see the balance in a household, and it all clicks in your mind later on that yeah, a balance is needed. Okay, and the so-called white man's done a number on you as well, taking the man out of the house. You women are emotional and crazy, act like men, and then the sons that grow up in the household act like women and dress like women and behave like women. Everything's upside down in this world. All right, I know I've said a lot. Let's go to the video now. All right.
That a lot of black women have been, well, as women in general, but
Let me put the subtitles just in case Esau tries to block the how do you say it? Tries to sort of mute the volume or whatever.
I feel that a lot of black women have been, well, I guess women in general, but because I am a black woman, I'm going to speak about it. I think a lot of black women have been given a disservice regarding hygiene by their mothers, family members, whoever. There's a lot of women walking around here with odor, really bad odor. I did a video about it before, but I took it down. I've been in many public places, and just to go take a tinkle, meaning just to go pee, urinate, you shouldn't have a foul odor of fish. You shouldn't. I'm not saying you're supposed to smell like roses down there. You shouldn't be smelling like fish. There's a lot of women smelling like fish lately, and I don't know what is going on. I've seen some videos where women are talking about what's the men that you deal with. They're sleeping around and this and that, whatever. You shouldn't smell like fish. There should not be a fishy odor from you just urinating. I think a lot of women don't really know necessarily how to clean themselves down there. I've heard stories of women not even being taught by their own mothers how to clean themselves, or their mother just feeling a certain type of way. Well, look, I don't know how to clean myself, so I'm not going to teach her how to clean herself. Or they do know how to clean themselves, but maybe they don't want to teach their daughter how to, which is crazy to me. And women talking about they having to go to the doctor and get antibiotics and this and that, whatever. If you are a woman that is sexually active, after engaging in sexual activity, you are supposed to clean yourself. You are supposed to urinate. You're supposed to hop in the shower. You're supposed to use some type of soap. Me personally, I use antibacterial soap, which is dial soap, either the white one or the yellow one. And I clean myself afterwards. And I also use an empty Summer's Eve douche bottle, and I put some water in there and some vinegar, some apple cider vinegar, and rinse myself out. And if you want to overdo it and go to the extreme, you more than welcome to take an empty Tampax or tampon and put a boric acid pill in there and put it up there and release it, and you should be good to go. You should not be smelling like fish. There's a lot of women that think after engaging in sexual activities that you just lay there and you go to sleep or whatever. No, since you are the vessel, you need to go there and remove everything out,
You are the
clean you.
vessel, see?
Whether you have protected or unprotected sex, you need to do that. You can't just be laying around. I just got to give that information out because I think some women just don't know that.
There is so much, so many women that I've talked to that have said that the women's bathroom.
Now, that's part of the law as well. After sex, I'm not going to get the scripture out. You're supposed to shower. You're supposed to change your bed sheets. You're supposed to, a man is supposed to shower, get rid of all traces of semen, your clothes. If you got passionate with your woman and you nutted and a little bit of nut went on your trousers or I don't know, whatever your basketball shorts. I use modern world clothing, or even in the ancient world, you got something on your linen garments or whatever, and your woman's, her juices, her wetness went on the bed sheets. Your semen went on the bed sheets. How you get down with your woman, right? You're supposed to shower and wash straight after. You're supposed to wash the bedclothes as well. You shouldn't be just laying around in it, and then you get up and not wash, and then you just deal with life. That's disgusting. And all that residue and sperm inside the woman. Okay, what do you think is going to happen? Nothing good's going to come out of that, right? Okay, let's go to Isaiah 3:16. Moreover, the Lord Yahweh Shemashai saith, because the daughters of Zion, okay, the Israelite women, are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go and making a tinkling with their feet. Haughty, they're proud, that term chicken head, they walk with stretched forth necks. And if you remember as a child seeing so-called black girls or even Israelite women in general walk, and I remember this, seeing a lot of Benjaminite women and Israelite foreigner women, they would walk with their necks straight and they'll really protrude their backside. They had a backside anyway, but they are. I'm talking about their cheeks. They would protrude and they would really blatantly push their ass out more, their backside out more, just to make it show more, you know. And wanton eyes, they'll be giving you checking you out, they'll be looking at you, giving them eyes, showing you, basically those bedroom eyes, and especially a beautiful so-called black woman with that, them wanton eyes. A lot of men can be enticed, So, moreover, the Lord Yahweh Shemashai saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go and making a tinkling with their feet. Okay, you know, um, protruding their hips, making the hips sway as they walk, mincing as they go, making a tinkling with their feet. They got like anklets on, stomach chains, toe rings, nose rings. I'm just giving like an overall appearance of the woman, but the tinkling part, obviously the anklets. And Israelite foreigner women from the culture that I grew up in wear a lot of anklets. They do a lot of tinkling with their feet. All right, so it's the same scenario across the board wherever Israelite women are. But we know the so-called black woman is the most copied woman on the planet Earth. And even the Israelite women and Israelite foreigner women and even heathen women, right? The Israelite women want to be like her, right? Because she's a head tribe, which is cool because we're the same people. But the heathen women wants to be like your Jake women too, all right? So this is the nature of the so-called black woman. Okay, they assume because a man wants to have sex with them that they are serious about them and want to be with them forever. It's not the case. All right, sex and love are two different things in a man's mindset. Sex is a form of release, clears your mind. It's stress relief. All right, men don't get emotional with a woman after sex. We don't even want to hold you. Get the fuck away from me. Once we're done, we're done. All right. I mean, a woman you really care about, you might give her a kiss and a cuddle, of course, but you don't have to be, you have to be cold like that. But for the most part, once we're done, we're done. With you women, it's emotional. That's why your emotions are so fucked up because you go from man to man to man to man to man, and you don't trust the man. And then when you get serious about a man, that man don't want you because you have been passed around. You're like a used car. Everybody's taking a ride in you. Nobody wants you. You understand? That's why you're the least married and the least desired. You know, as mentioned, a man is drunk. You bump into a so-called black woman at night. She's all right looking. She's built. You know, she happens to be single. You're gonna say, okay, let's deal. All right, or any woman for that nature. But but for the most part, no man wants to take you seriously. All right, because you very rarely, there are exceptions. You very rarely see an Indian guy married to a black woman, but there are exceptions. I've seen it. You very rarely, you see a lot of white guys married to black women now. All right, but back in the day when I was coming up, when I was in my 20s in the 90s, you would never see that. You would never see that, but you would see so-called black men with women of all nations, because even black men knew back then, 30, 40 years ago, you ain't shit. All right, okay. Let's see, what's 3:17 saying? Let's go to verse 17. Therefore, the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yashar will smite a scab with the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. Okay? Which means that, the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yashar put a scab on your head that you can't grow hair. And you wonder why you put all these oils and ointments on your hair, it just doesn't grow. You get jealous of women of other nations, And I've seen it with my own eyes. So-called black women get jealous of beautiful Indian girls, who are Israelite foreigner women, by the way, right, with long hair. Get jealous of them. This is when I was in college, back in the day, late 90s. I've seen that shit, right? And black women get jealous, boy. When they get jealous, they get jealous. Even on a woman, that walks in the room, all the attention goes to her. Women, whew. Verse 18. In that day, the Lord Yahweh Shemashah will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet and their cords and their round tires like the moon. All right. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus 26:12. All right. Now this is, as horrible as it is, the so-called black woman. I mean, I remember back in the day, even to this day, it says, if you want to get laid, get you a so-called white woman. They're easy to pull, right? Now you flip it the other way around. Now it's women of color, especially the so-called black women at the top of the list, all right? And that's her nature, her enticing nature. And for some reason, especially with the so-called white man, she's easy to pull. It could be a skinhead. He could be racist as fuck, but he thinks, I want to get me a ninja woman. I want to freak off with her, record her, invite my friends and whatever, and maybe run a train on her. And she'll be up for it because she might find a skinhead attractive. And she'll be up for it. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. But he'll be nice to her. He won't call her the N-word. He won't be racist towards her until he's got what he's got. Okay? And she's just got that enticing nature. And she'll be like that. Easy to pull, easy to get a hold of, easy to impress. Especially by men of other nations. And, or a Jake that has looks and money. Ecclesiasticus 26:12. She will open her mouth. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler. See, the book, the scriptures are written by us for us. Okay? Words like crib, thirsty. Oh, she thirsty, yo. Or he's thirsty, yo. These words come out of scriptures too. Ecclesiasticus 26:12. She will open her mouth. This is like old school thirsty traveler. Old school slang. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he hath found a fountain. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he hath found a fountain, and drink of every water nearby, and drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down and open her quiver against every arrow. Okay, what's a quiver? A quiver is that thing you put arrows in. And if you look at a quiver from the top downwards, how do you say it? If you just look at the compartment the quiver goes in, it looks like a vagina, and the arrow is like represents a penis. All right. She opens her vagina to every arrow, every rod. Okay, and she drinks the water, a drink of every water near her. Okay, I hate to say it in a gruesome way. I'm going to be real. She swallows a lot of nut. Okay, and that obviously affects her mental mindset and her hygiene as well. Okay, and then on top of that, we have a dietary law. Okay. Mentioned in Leviticus, all right? What to eat, what not to eat. You're not supposed to eat shrimp, crab, lobster, catfish, and all that other bullshit, and pig, all right? Hence the reason why you smell, why your skin is bad, why you get these funny growths on your face and your body. This is a multitude of things that are collective, that are giving you that coming together as a big fist and hitting you so-called black women, man. Hence the reason why you're so effed up. The other women of other nations can do it. You know why? Because the laws don't apply to them. That's why the Moabite, Chinese, Japanese woman, the Ammonite woman, right? They can eat shrimp, crab, lobster. They can eat certain creatures that walk and while they're partially alive or they're partially cooked, or however these heathens do it, and swallow it and not die. Because then the law doesn't apply to them, but it applies to you. That's why you are so effed up. Okay? And like the so-called black woman said, a lot of these women have been given wrong advice by their whorish mothers, their whorish grandmothers, their whorish aunts, who are all single, by the way. And they teach their daughters the same, to be foul. All right? Let's get a scripture with regards to that. Titus, let's go to Titus 1, right? KJV. But speak thou the things which become sound doctrine, that the aged men be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith, in charity, in patience. Okay? Now, it's not just all about the women. The men have to be balanced out too, right? Now let's go to the woman. Verse 3. The aged woman, now the so-called black woman said that a lot of these women have been given wrong advice. Indeed, they have, because, you follow after example, right? Okay? You follow after example. And the examples that our people have on this side are completely horrible collectively. There's exceptions, of course, but those are anomalies, okay? The aged woman, likewise, that they be in behaviour as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to too much wine, teachers of good things, okay? So, as becometh holiness, not false accusers, be clean, be sober, be holy. Don't be a tattletale. Don't lie about next man like a lot of these women do today. Don't they be false accusers? Don't they lie on men saying, "Oh yeah, he's a father," but really he isn't. Maurice is an example, right? All right, not false accusers, not given to much wine. All right, you can't be a woman that's always drunk all the time. Teachers of good things. Okay, a lot of you so-called black women don't teach any good things to the women. Verse 4. That they may teach the young women to be sober. All right? All right? To love their husbands. All right? You never say anything like that. To love their children. You leave your children behind to go to a club. All right? You don't love your husbands if you do have one. If you are married, you're married for 6 months. Because he told you to clean the house, or he's a little bit demanding, which is a wife's duty to maintain, especially if you're not working. If you are both working, especially in this modern world, you divide up the workload, but you must help because you're his helpmeet, right? Okay. But if you're at home and your husband earns enough, take care of the house, be a support system. But you don't want to do that. You think the man should just be a husband to you, provide, and yet he has to cook his own food. Yet he has to do the housework. Yet he has to do the DIY. Yet he has to fix your car. And all you do is, shit. You don't even give up the PUSSY when it's necessary. So what is the use of you? All right. And this is all the examples that are given by the older whorish mothers and grandmothers that they have and their aunts that say, yeah, play the field, get you an NBA star, get you a football player, You know, go to that certain party or that cocktail lounge or whatever, all the NBA stars are going to be there. Wear something enticing. Go with all your girlfriends, but make sure you take your ugly girlfriends with you so you're the prettiest one there so they may choose you. Get pregnant by them so you can have a baby. And like 50 Cent would say, have a baby by me, baby, and be a millionaire or whatever. So, so basically you get knocked up by an NBA star or a rapper or whatever so you can get money. You know? That's what you're taught, which is basically whorish activities. That they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children. Verse 5, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of the Most High Yahweh Bahashem Yahshai be not blasphemed. Okay, now let's go to... let's read verse 6 also. So we're not just focusing on the women, but this is about the women. Young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded, in all things shewing thyself a pattern of good works, in doctrine shewing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity. All right? We can go to verse 5. Should we go to verse 5? Let's see what's saying there. Verse 5. No, I read verse 5. Verse 6, I mean. Verse 6. Okay, let's read verse 7 as well. Let's verse 6 again, I mean. Young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded in all things, shewing thyself a pattern of good works, in doctrine shewing uncorruptness. All right? All right? You can't be corrupted like Genesis, sellouts, and messing up the doctrine. In doctrine showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity. Verse 8, sound speech that cannot be condemned, that he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you. All right. Now back to the women. Okay. Do you see the fact that the older generation of women haven't taught the younger women how to be? Hence the reason why we are in disarray and scattered all over the place, and these curses are upon us. Yes, they're coming off and they're going upon the heathen, but they're still collectively on us. And our physician Yahweh Shai is returning, and we will be going home soon, and these things will be right behind us very soon. Okay, but you 2/3, all right, are gonna DIE, and the 1/3 will make it through. All right, the 1/3. Which fortunately enough are going to be a lot of women and children. So some of you women might have a chance, but a lot of you women, because there's more of you on the planet than men, are going to DIE a lot. And a lot of you deserve to do so. All right. So these are the curses, man. This is just an example of our women, all right, having an animalistic mindset. Even the men having an animalistic mindset. Hence the reason why you have Keisha today and you have the YNs. That's an example of the curses upon our people, man. All right, and our women known as whores, and our so-called brothers, the YNs, known as thugs. All right, this is just a little example of how our people are suffering. Okay, and those women, you Israelite women, so-called Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian, or you Israelite foreigner women that gravitate towards this truth, if you are with a man and you know through the Spirit he is an Israelite, okay, stay with that man, okay, and stay with that one man, and try and be a good support system for your man. All right, don't be jumping from rod to rod. All right, I'm gonna leave it there now. Okay, but Brakti Habashim Yashai, we're going home soon. So this nightmare is going to be, Lord willing, very soon a thing of the past. Anyway, all praise to Yahweh Hashem Yashai, Bashem Rakakodash, Mawatha Badbabal, Kwam Yashwala, Shalom.